Chapter 10, page 109, Reading 1. What is white-collar crime? Sociologist Edwin Sutherland was the first person to use the term white-collar crime. Sutherland used the phrase white-collar because most of the criminals that he studied were white-collar workers, people with occupations that don't require manual labor. These included business people, government workers, doctors, and lawyers. He compared white-collar crime with street crime. In one basic way, these criminals are the same. People commit these crimes for money. However, they are different in another important way. Street crime is often physically violent. White-collar criminals usually hurt people's finances, but they don't often hit them. Before Sutherland, sociologists believed that poverty was the cause of most crime. They thought that people committed crimes because they were poor. Sutherland argued that wealthy people were often criminals too. They weren't poor, they were just greedy. They were people who had a lot but wanted more. Sutherland also believed that white-collar crime was more dangerous than street crime, even though it was nonviolent. Why? Because it made people distrust important social institutions, such as government and business organizations. The Federal Bureau of Investigation says that white-collar crime costs the United States more than $300 billion every year. The punishment for white-collar crimes include fines, home detention, community confinement, costs of prosecution, forfeitures, restitution, supervised release, and imprisonment. However, it can be very difficult to catch white-collar criminals. They often cover their crimes in complex financial arrangements that are difficult to understand. For this reason, there is a new profession called forensic accounting. Forensic accountants look for evidence of crime in a company's finances.
Chapter 10, page 110, Reading 2. White-collar criminals. What do white-collar criminals do? White-collar criminals commit the following crimes: fraud, getting money by selling products or services that do not actually exist or that don't do what the criminals say they can. Embezzlement, taking money or property that the white-collar criminal controls but does not own. Bribery, giving a government worker or company employee a gift so that the person will help the criminal. Forgery, signing another person's name to a check or other legal paper. Insider trading, using information that the public doesn't know in order to decide to buy or sell stock. Kickback, similar to a bribe, giving money back to the person who purchased your service or product. This money profits the buyer, not the buyer's business. Money laundering, investing money from an illegal business, dirty money, in a legal business to cover or hide criminal activity. Why do they do it? White-collar criminals do not look like criminals. They aren't poor. They don't associate with other criminals. They usually live ordinary lives, and they are well respected at work and in their community. So why do they commit crimes? Greed. Even though they aren't poor, they want more money than they can earn legally. Power. They feel that money is power. They want to win at all costs. Anger at the system. Some white-collar criminals are angry at their companies, their bosses, or society. Corporate modeling. Some corporations are not good role models. They teach their employees that lying or stretching the truth is acceptable. If the company doesn't act morally, their employees often feel that it's okay to cheat it. What happens to white-collar criminals? White-collar criminals often are not punished because they have very high positions and a lot of power. People are afraid of them. There is a long history of small punishments for white-collar crime. Many white-collar crimes seem victimless. People may not even realize that they are victims.
Chapter 10, page 117. Reading. Why an awful lot sometimes just isn't enough. Martha Stewart was incredibly successful. She was the head of her own corporation and one of the richest women in the United States. In 2004, she went to jail for insider trading. Stewart used inside information to avoid losing $50,000. That's a lot of money to most people, but Stewart was a billionaire. So why did she do it? Laura Nash teaches business at Harvard University. She says that Stewart had one problem. She was greedy. The definition of success today is to go for the maximum. That gets people in trouble. Nash said Stewart and many other business executives are addicted to making money. They don't know when to stop. Dennis Kozlowski is another great example of a greedy millionaire. He was the head of Tyco International, and his salary was more than $100 million a year. Apparently, it wasn't enough, so he borrowed millions of dollars more from the company. Then he used this money to buy antiques, art, and furniture for his New York apartment. The company also lent him $19 million to pay for a home in Florida. In 2002, Tyco paid for half of the cost of his wife's birthday party in Italy. It cost $2.1 million. The problem with the loans was that the company forgave them. They didn't ask him to repay the money. Then they forgot to tell the company's stockholders about these gifts. In 2004, the police arrested Kozlowski for stealing about $135 million from the company. According to Nash, people like Stewart and Kozlowski are business superstars. They are as famous as rock stars and even richer. They often get drunk on success. People like this can be very selfish and self-centered. Most importantly, they don't think that they have to play by the rules. Nash believes that business leaders who are not so famous do better. They often have lasting success over a lifetime. They know how to deal with disappointment and limitations. In general, they also care more about others and share their wealth. Many business superstars believe they can have it all. Martha Stewart thought she could be the happiest, most caring, wealthiest person around, Nash said. Nobody can be all of those things. Stewart's fall is a valuable lesson for managers, she said. To have real success, you must stay true to your values. You have to be able to say, "This is enough." Chapter 11, page 123. Reading 1. Homeless to Harvard. Film. Homeless to Harvard. The Liz Murray Story. Genre. Drama. Directed by Peter Levin. Produced by Michael Mahoney. Starring Thora Birch, Kelly Lynch, Michael Riley, Robert Boxdale, Aaron Tager. The story. Homeless to Harvard is the amazing true story of Liz Murray. Liz grew up in very difficult circumstances. Her parents were drug addicts. They didn't have jobs. The family got a check from the government every month. However, her parents used a lot of the money to buy drugs. Therefore, they often did not have enough to eat. Liz's parents finally divorced. When she was 15, her mother died from AIDS. Liz's father was living in a homeless shelter, so she couldn't live with him. She refused to go into the child welfare system because she didn't want to live with strangers in a foster family or a group home. Liz and her friend started living on the streets of New York City. The girls' lives were incredibly difficult. In good weather, they slept in public parks. In bad weather, they slept underground on the subway. They just rode the trains all night. They ate from garbage cans and asked strangers for money. At the same time, Liz realized that another life was possible. She used a friend's address and started classes in a public high school. She took double the normal number of classes, so she finished in 2 years. During this time, Liz's class took a trip to Harvard University, and she decided that she wanted to go there. She eventually earned a scholarship, and in 2000 she entered Harvard. My opinion: 2.5 stars. The best thing about Homeless to Harvard is that it is a true story. This movie teaches us many lessons about hope and a person's ability to succeed despite difficulties. Thora Birch does a good job as Liz, but the direction is not strong. It's a movie you can see once, but no more.
Chapter 11, page 124. Reading 2. The Working Poor. Most people do not know that many of the homeless have jobs. They just don't make enough money to pay rent. In Washington, D.C., minimum wage is $5.25 an hour. A one-bedroom apartment costs about $500 a week. Therefore, a person would have to work 92 hours a week to pay the rent. However, there are only 168 hours in a week, so this is obviously impossible. A major difficulty is that there is not enough affordable or inexpensive housing available. The government says that no household should pay more than 30% of its income for rent. However, today, more than 5.4 million families pay more than 50% of their income for rent. In 1995, there were 4.4 million more low-income renters than there were affordable housing units. Unfortunately, the situation is getting worse. Government policies are making more and more people homeless. The government doesn't help the working poor. If their income is above $8,277 annually, they cannot receive money from the government. However, that amount of money may not be enough to pay rent. A typical working family with children and no government help can use up their monthly income in 2 days. How is that possible? Think about car payments, insurance, baby diapers, and food. Many of the working poor are very close to becoming homeless. They usually live from paycheck to paycheck. They can't save anything. Therefore, any extra expense is a major problem. If the car breaks down or someone gets sick, there may not be enough money for rent. If they cannot pay rent, they will soon be out on the street. Chapter 11, page 128. Reading. Let's help, not hurt, the homeless. The city of San Miguel should be ashamed of itself. Police are now giving tickets for illegal lodging to people who sleep outside. Like most cities in the United States, San Miguel does not have enough affordable housing or homeless shelters. Today, the city has only 2,734 emergency and shelter beds. This number is not nearly enough for the 8,000 homeless who sleep outside every night. City officials have created a different solution to the problem. They are punishing people for being homeless. They are giving them tickets that they can't pay. Sometimes they even arrest them and take them to jail. They are actually criminalizing homelessness. In 2000, homeless people received 516 tickets in 8 districts in the city. From January 2003 through March 2004, police gave out 2,641 tickets in just 2 districts. Interestingly, these are the 2 districts right next to the new baseball park. These actions are not just an embarrassment. They are probably not legal. The United States signed the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948. Perhaps the mayor and other city officials should read it. It says, "Everyone has the right to a standard of living adequate for the health and well-being of himself and of his family, including food, clothing, housing, and medical care and necessary social services." No one likes to see the homeless on the street. However, we shouldn't punish people because they have no place to live. We should help them find homes. We ask city officials to focus on positive solutions, increased housing and services that will help people get off the street. These people need a helping hand, not a slap across the face. The Editor.
Chapter 12, page 133, Reading 1. Pretty Babies. Tina Crosby looked confused. This was her first beauty contest, and she was nervous. The judge asked her, "How do you relax?" She bravely tried to smile, but she couldn't answer the question. I don't know," was all that she could say. That's not surprising. Tina is only 5 years old. She was not well-spoken, but she was cute enough to win. A smiling Tina and her proud mother went home with a trophy and a diamond crown. Beauty contests for very young children are common today. However, many people are asking, are they good for children? Megan Palmer runs children's beauty pageants. She knows that there can be problems. She says that some parents push their children too hard. She once saw a woman hit her child. The mother was angry because the girl did not walk gracefully enough. And she says that some mothers put too much makeup on their daughters' faces. The girls look 30 years old. I tell the mothers to calm down. Then I give them soap and a washcloth and tell them to wash it off, she says. Palmer also does not like professional coaches. Some parents pay thousands of dollars for lessons. They want their daughters to learn to walk, turn, and wave to the audience correctly. In addition, the coaches tell the girls how to answer questions as Palmer explains. For example, a judge asks, "What would you like to be when you grow up?" The 5-year-old then answers, "I want to be a history teacher and President of the United States." That wasn't the child's answer. It was the coach's answer. Palmer tries to make sure that the children are enjoying themselves. Beauty contests, she says, should be fun. They also should help children become more self-confident. Being in a beauty contest is the same as playing on a soccer team. It's not about winning. Many experts do not agree. Some child psychologists say that the contests have many more disadvantages than advantages. They think that they teach girls that beauty is very important. Others worry that these children grow up too fast, and that can cause psychological problems later on. Unfortunately for the girls, baby beauty contests are big business. Ted Cohen publishes the International Directory of Pageants. He says there are probably about 5,000 beauty pageants in the United States every year. About 25% are for children. And the business is growing. There are more and more contests every year.
Chapter 12, page 135, Reading 2, The Search for an Internet Beauty Queen. There's a new beauty contest for women. Virtual women, that is. Miss Digital World is the first beauty contest for video game heroines such as Lara Croft. The contest is really for digital artists, advertising agencies, and video game programmers. They are sending the computer design of their perfect woman to an internet site. The organizers want people to be serious about the contest. Each contestant must send in the following items and information: 5 photos, date of birth, name, address, etc., hair color, eye color, height and other vital statistics, video. And just like Miss America and Miss Universe, Miss Digital World must be a role model. No strippers or pornographic movie stars are allowed. Every age has its ideal of beauty. The Venus de Milo in ancient Greece and Marilyn Monroe in the 1960s, says Franz Cerami, the creator of the competition. Designers must make their contestants walk along a virtual catwalk. The digital woman who receives the most votes from Internet users will win. There will be a virtual presenter and virtual guests at the presentation. Sarami hopes the digital queen will be used in video games, advertisements, and films such as The Matrix.
Chapter 12, page 140. Reading. Male beauty. Beauty contests for women are very common. However, most men do not usually have opportunities to win prizes for being handsome. That is because most cultures don't consider a man's appearance as important as a woman's. Men don't have to be handsome, but women are supposed to be beautiful. However, there is one exception: bodybuilding. In bodybuilding contests, men compete for cash prizes and titles such as Mr. Universe and Mr. America. The contestants stand in front of the judges and the audience. In order to show their muscles, they pose or stand in certain ways. There are competitions for separate parts of the body. One man might have the best back. Another might have the best chest or arms. However, there is also a prize for the best body overall. This man becomes Mr. Universe or Mr. America. In a few other cultures, there are also competitions for physical beauty for men. One interesting contest takes place in the Wodabi culture. The Wodabi live on the edge of the Sahara Desert in Africa. For the Wodabi men, strength is not as important as beauty. It is our tradition. Even our ancestors are handsome. Our women are very beautiful, and the babies they make are the most beautiful, says Der Chafu. He is a past winner. His father was also famous for his beauty. If I am the man who is the prettiest, lots of women will want to marry me, Chafu explains. The competition starts early in life. Mothers and sisters stretch the arms and legs of baby boys to make them long and thin. They squeeze their noses to make them pointed. Competitors' families may spend a year making their costumes. The young men sometimes travel for days to find the right clay to make their red and yellow face paint. And a competitor must be more than just beautiful to win. He must have togu, personal magnetism. Magic also plays a big part in the competition. Men try for 10 years to get the right magic, Chafu explains. Here, all the men are beautiful. It's the power of magic that makes the difference. In the end, there is no money, no crown, no trophy, no title. The most beautiful men win the right to marry the most beautiful women in the tribe so that they can make beautiful babies.
Chapter 13, page 145. Reading 1. Cocaine, the 19th century miracle drug. Long ago, Incas in South America discovered coca. Coca is a plant that contains a very powerful chemical, a drug. The Incas chewed coca leaves for energy. The Spanish conquistadors learned about coca too. They took coca plants to Europe. There, in 1859, a German scientist learned how to take the drug out of the leaves. He called the drug cocaine. Cocaine immediately became very popular. People thought it was a wonder drug. You could buy products with cocaine everywhere. Until 1914, you could buy it at department stores in the United States. There were cocaine medicines and even chocolate cocaine tablets. One popular drink was Vin Coca, coca wine. It contained 7.2 milligrams of cocaine per ounce of wine. In the 1880s, the psychiatrist Sigmund Freud said that cocaine was useful. He believed it cured depression and alcoholism. 100 years ago, cocaine was also an ingredient in the world's most famous soft drink, Coca-Cola. At that time, it was a medicinal drink. It was named for its two main ingredients, coca leaves and cola nuts. People believed that Coca-Cola was beneficial. It made them feel better and more awake. That's not surprising. It contained cocaine from coca leaves and caffeine from cola nuts. Coca-Cola hasn't been made with cocaine for over 75 years. Despite its benefits, cocaine wasn't popular for very long. People soon discovered that it wasn't really wonderful. Doctors saw that people quickly became dependent on the drug. They couldn't live without it. It also made some people a little crazy. Still others died from cocaine poisoning. They took too much of it. By the beginning of the 20th century, companies were taking cocaine out of their products. Soon, governments around the world made it illegal. Today, cocaine is considered one of the most dangerous drugs.
Chapter 13, page 146, Reading 2, Legal Drugs and Teenagers. A drug is any substance that changes the way the mind and body work. Some drugs, such as alcohol, are legal, while others, such as heroin, ecstasy, cannabis, cocaine, and LSD, are illegal. Still others, such as inhalants, have both legal and illegal uses. Tobacco. Tobacco is the most common and dangerous legal drug. Long-term use causes serious diseases such as emphysema, heart disease, and lung cancer. In most places in the United States, you must be 18 to buy tobacco products such as cigarettes, cigars, and chewing tobacco. However, studies show that almost 25% of young teenagers smoke regularly. In addition, 85% of teenagers who smoke become addicted. Alcohol. Alcohol is a depressant that can affect people in many different ways. Some people are relaxed by the drug. Others lose their inhibitions completely, so they do stupid and sometimes dangerous things. Some people become alcoholics. Alcoholics are people who are addicted to alcohol. Alcohol addiction destroys the lives of millions of people every year. Even though alcohol is legal for adults, it is illegal for teenagers. However, teenagers are drinking more than ever. Studies show that a third of American teenagers between the ages of 13 and 17 drink at least once a week. Many of them drink alcoholic fruit drinks. These sweet drinks often have more alcohol than beer or wine. Inhalants. Inhalants are drugs that you can inhale or breathe in and get high. Inhaling or sniffing is very popular with very young teenagers because the products are easy to find. They are also inexpensive. Common household products such as glues, nail polish remover, lighter fluid, spray paints, deodorant, hairsprays, and cleaning fluids are sniffable. Most sniffers give up inhalants and start using alcohol or other drugs when they have more money. Inhalants can cause brain damage and even death.
Chapter 13, page 152. Reading. The world's most popular drug. Caffeine is one of the most popular drugs in the world. It is particularly popular in the United States. 90% of Americans consume it every single day. Over half consume more than 300 milligrams of caffeine every day. It is found in coffee, tea, cola, chocolate, and a variety of other things. Most people don't know how much caffeine they take in. They also do not realize it is an addictive drug. It stimulates the brain in the same way as illegal drugs such as cocaine and heroin do. Although caffeine is not as strong as these drugs, it is still addictive. If you must have caffeine every day, you are addicted. Caffeine does not have the same effect on everyone. While some people can have 3 caffeine drinks in an hour and be fine, others may feel nervous and jumpy after just 1 drink. Usually, a safe amount is no more than 3 8-ounce cups or 250 milligrams a day, says one nutrition expert. She explains that when people have more caffeine than this, they start to have problems. An ounce of chocolate and the average 8-ounce soft drink both have about 25 milligrams of caffeine, much less than coffee. Caffeine has some medical uses. Doctors use it as a heart stimulant. But most people take it when they feel tired and need energy. They don't realize that they are hurting themselves. When the body is tired, it needs rest. Caffeine stops it from resting. Studies show that too much caffeine can cause nausea, anxiety, headaches, and insomnia. So when it comes to caffeine, the secret is to know what foods contain caffeine and to know your limit. Caffeine in common foods. Coffee. Coffee usually contains about 100 milligrams per 6-ounce cup. Tea. Typical brewed tea contains 70 milligrams in each 6-ounce cup. Cola drinks. Sodas contain 50 milligrams per 12-ounce can. Chocolate. Typical milk chocolate contains 6 milligrams per ounce. Common painkillers. Some aspirins contain 32 milligrams per tablet. Diet pills have about 200 milligrams per tablet.
Chapter 14, page 157, Reading 1. The Story of Bikini. After World War II, the American government wanted to test nuclear bombs. However, they had a problem. Testing nuclear bombs was dangerous. The bombs were very powerful. Furthermore, the radiation from the bombs could kill people years after the testing. Therefore, these bombs couldn't be tested near a lot of people. The government needed to find a place far away from civilization. They chose the tiny island of Bikini in the Pacific Ocean. Bikini seemed perfect. It was far from sea and air routes, and the U.S. government controlled it. After World War II, Bikini and the other Marshall Islands became a U.S. protectorate. Sadly, Bikini didn't get much protection. In order to get permission to bomb, the American governor of Bikini went to talk to the people who lived on Bikini. There were only 167. He explained that the tests were for the good of mankind and could end all world wars. He also said that the islanders could return after the tests were finished. In the end, the Bikinians agreed. Unfortunately, nuclear scientists were wrong about the strength of the bomb. They expected it to be a 5-megaton explosion, but it was a 15-megaton explosion. The bomb was 1,000 times stronger than the bombs that destroyed Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan. It caused much more dangerous radiation than they expected. Now, more than 50 years after the nuclear test, the Bikinians are still living in exile. The nuclear testing did more than make a hole a mile wide in beautiful Bikini. It destroyed a way of life. Bikini native Emso Leviticus says that before the Americans came, we took care of each other. No one starved. Life on Bikini was easy. Men and teenage boys went fishing every day. Then they shared the fish with everyone on the island. In the same way, when a family needed help fixing their house, everyone helped. Meanwhile, the owners of the house cooked food for the workers. Bikinian Miriam Jamodri agrees with Leviticus. It was a pleasant life on Bikini. We all made decisions as a community of people. We made food together. It was very harmonious.
Chapter 14, page 159, Reading 2. Here today, gone tomorrow. Tashkent, Uzbekistan. The Aral Sea is shrinking, and no one can stop it. It began getting smaller in the 1960s. At that time, the former Soviet government started a large irrigation project. They used water from the Amu Darya River and the Sir-Darya River to irrigate crops. From 1960 to 1990, the area of irrigated land in Central Asia more than doubled. It increased from 3.5 million hectares to 7.5 million hectares. Cotton production also increased. Soon the region was the world's fourth largest cotton producer. Unfortunately, there were some very bad results. With less water, the sea started to become smaller. Within decades, it was 50% smaller. In 1989, the sea divided into two parts. Some former fishing communities are now 100 kilometers or more away from the water. However, it doesn't really matter because there are very few fish. The amount of fresh water going into the Aral is less than 1/10 of the amount in 1950. Because of this, it is now very salty. Most of the native plants and animals cannot live in such salty water. Therefore, only 2 kinds of fish can survive it. There used to be more than 30 kinds. Farmers are also suffering. There is now sand where the lake used to be. The sand blows onto the farms and destroys the soil. So farmers use a lot of insecticides and fertilizers to improve soil and make their crops grow. The climate is also changing. Now the area has shorter, hotter summers with little rain and longer, colder winters with little snow. Therefore, the growing season is shortened. Drinking water is also a problem. The water has a lot of the insecticides and fertilizers from the farms, so it is unsafe for humans and animals. In addition, a lot of the drinking water is very salty. The salt has caused increases in kidney disease, diarrhea, and other serious health problems. In short, a place that used to be a successful farming and fishing area is now becoming an environmental wasteland.
Chapter 14, page 165. Reading. The Three Naurus. The Pacific island nation of Nauru is one of the loneliest and saddest countries in the world. It used to be a beautiful place. Then, for a short while, it was a very rich place. Now, it is an ecological nightmare. Nauru's heartbreaking story could have one good consequence. Other countries might learn from its mistakes. Pleasant Island. For thousands of years, Polynesian people lived on the remote island of Nauru, far from Western civilization. The first European to arrive was John Fern in 1798. He was the British captain of the Hunter, a whaling ship. He described the island as very attractive. Everywhere there were small houses that belonged to the 12 clans or family groups of the island. He called the island Pleasant Island. However, because it was very remote, Nauru had little communication with Europeans at first. Then whaling ships and other traders began to visit. They brought guns and alcohol. These elements destroyed the social balance of the 12 tribes. A 10-year civil war started. It reduced the population from 1,400 to 900. Finally, in 1888, Germany took Nauru as a protectorate. Fantasy Island. Nauru's real troubles began in 1899. In that year, a British mining company discovered phosphate on the island. In fact, it found that the island of Nauru was nearly all phosphate. Phosphate is a very important fertilizer, and farming was an important industry. The company began mining the phosphate. A phosphate mine is not a hole in the ground. It is a strip mine. When a company strip mines, it removes the top layer of soil. Then it takes away the material it wants. Strip mining totally destroys the land. Gradually, the lovely island of Nauru started to look like the moon. In 1968, Nauru received its independence. It became the smallest republic in the world. It was also one of the richest. Every year, the government received millions and millions of dollars for its phosphate. Desert Island. Unfortunately, the government did not use this money well. The leaders invested unwisely and lost millions of dollars. In addition, they used millions more dollars for personal expenses. Soon people realized that they had a terrible problem. Their phosphate was running out. 90% of their island was destroyed, and they had nothing. By 2000, Nauru was almost bankrupt. Experts say that it would take approximately $433,600,000 and more than 20 years to repair the island. This will probably never happen. The only people who want to do it are the Narans, and they have nothing.
End of CD 2.